with no one to see him do it. He hugged himself and bent forward, gasping. He knew he would always remember this, the quality of the brass-lit sky, the puffs of dust from that running beast on the plain, how the red stone of the balcony rail had felt under his fingers, just before he heard the news. And he knew he would always remember, and always wish he could forget, how he felt about himself right now. Chapter 1. Toby McGonigal awoke to biting cold and utter silence. When he opened his eyes, he saw nothing, only a perfect black. "Hello?" His voice was a rough croak. It sounded so surprising to him that he coughed. He tried to put his hand to his mouth, but it moved only a few centimeters before striking some flat surface. A lid, covering him where he lay. A momentary panic took him, but as he banged his knees, hand, and forehead against the cold, curved substance, he realized something else. He was weightless. With that realization, all his muscles relaxed. He let all the air out of his lungs in a whoosh, then laughed. Of course he was weightless. He wasn't on Earth, buried alive in some coffin. He was in space. He was on his way to do something, for the family, for his brother, and if he was awake now, that meant he'd reached his destination. Hibernation time was over. That single moment of panic had worn him out, but hibernation was like that. He remembered the weakness from last time. It should pass in a few hours. Gradually, his fluttering pulse slowed, and when he felt more in control, he groped until he found his glasses, which he'd stowed at his side when he'd gotten into his little ship's cicada bed, weeks, or was it months now, ago. He slid on the augmented reality glasses, wincing at the icy cold against his temples. "Ship, give me a status report," he said. Nothing happened. A little light, at least? Maybe the glasses' batteries had drained. Considering how long he'd been out, that was likely. It was stupid that he hadn't thought of that, though. He relied on them as his interface to everything. Ship, communications, and the all-important game world, Consensus, where he spent most of his time. Who knew what Peter had gotten up to in Consensus while he was asleep? His brother would have had time to invent whole new civilizations, colonize new systems. Who knew what? Knowing what had happened in the game while he was asleep was nearly as important to Toby as making sure he'd arrived at Roquette on time. Everything was still black. The ship hadn't replied. "Glasses, load Consensus," Toby said. Maybe there was a communications problem. Since Consensus was local to the glasses, it at least should boot up if they were online at all. Weak flickers of light appeared at infinity, then resolved into words. Power critically low. Toby had never seen that message before, but it was obvious what it meant. "Consensus, load me some personalities. Sol, Miranda, can you hear me?" There was no answer from any of them, and suddenly panic had him shaking the cicada bed's exit handles. An alarm buzzed, and finally there was light outside of the glasses. More glowing letters had appeared in the translucent material. Vacuum detected. Crap. Something was wrong. The ship systems had failed. He was stuck here with no way out. "Toby?" It was Miranda's voice coming through his glasses earpiece. "There's an emergency suit under your mattress. Put it on, and the bed will open." He felt around until he had the suit's glove in his hand. He gave it a squeeze, and the thing climbed over his body, its pieces snapping into place with reassuring precision. When the helmet had built itself over his face, it signaled the bed, and with a sucking sound, the canopy opened. Toby drifted off its surface and into a place he should know, but which, as he looked around, had become frighteningly strange. His headlamp showed him to be in a round room about 13 meters in diameter.